the intersection of sexuality and spirituality in African religions. In the modern world, conversations about sex and spirituality are often treated as two separate realms. One is physical, taboo, and private. The other is sacred, exalted, and distant from bodily desire. But in traditional African belief systems, this distinction was never so clear-cut. Across many African cultures, sexuality and spirituality were, and in some places still are, deeply intertwined, forming a foundation for rituals, identity, and divine connection. Today on Afric Tribal, we take you deep into a world where sexual expression isn't shameful, it's sacred. Let's start in Nigeria, among the Yoruba people. The Yoruba cosmology is rich with deities known as Orishas, and one of the most revered is Ocean, the goddess of love, fertility, beauty, and sexuality. Ocean isn't portrayed as a passive symbol of feminine charm. She's a powerful spiritual force. Her devotees believe that sensuality is a divine energy she governs. It's something to be respected and understood, not hidden or shamed. Ceremonies in her honor often involve dance, flowing water, and sometimes symbolic sensual acts that mirror creation and fertility. Still in West Africa, let's talk about Mami Wada, the water spirit venerated across countries like Benin, Togo, and Ghana. She's often depicted as a beautiful mermaid-like figure, half woman, half fish, embodying seduction, power, and mystery. Mami Wada is said to appear to people in dreams or visions, sometimes offering wealth or protection in exchange for devotion or sexual loyalty. Her spiritual relationships are symbolic of the human relationship with desire, unpredictable, alluring, sometimes dangerous, but undeniably powerful. In South Africa, among the Zulu people, sexual maturity was, and still can be, seen as a milestone deeply tied to spiritual readiness. The famous reed dance, or Umkosi Wamlanga, though often misunderstood today, is rooted in celebrating purity and preparing young women for future responsibilities, both spiritual and communal. Sexual conduct is considered sacred and worthy of ritual, not something dirty, but something worthy of the ancestors' attention. But spirituality and sexuality weren't only female domains. In Kenya, among the Kikuyu and Maasai, male initiation rites involve more than just circumcision and warrior training. These rites mark not just a boy's passage to manhood, but his readiness to channel sexual energy responsibly, in the service of family, fertility, and community. Such transitions were accompanied by prayers, blessings, and rituals designed to align the individual with the spiritual expectations of adulthood. In Togo, some traditional Vodun practices acknowledge spiritual unions between the living and the dead. In certain rare cases, widows are expected to undergo a spiritual cleansing ritual that may include sexual rites. Though controversial today, these acts weren't always viewed as mere physical exchanges. They were believed to restore balance between the physical and spiritual realms, closing a door between the world of the living and the ancestors. This profound connection between sex and the spirit wasn't just about ritual, it was philosophical. In many African traditions, creation itself is sexual. The act of creation, whether through procreation or through divine energy, mirrors the sexual union. As such, sexual energy was treated as a life force, not merely an act of pleasure or reproduction. This is very different from how colonial religions taught Africans to view sex, as something sinful or shameful, especially outside of marriage. Colonial influence, particularly through Christian and Islamic teachings, brought with it new ideologies that deeply conflicted with traditional views. Practices that were once sacred were rebranded as immoral. Many of the traditional sex-positive rites were banned, shamed, or driven underground. But traces remain, especially in rural communities and in the oral histories passed from one generation to the next. Today, a quiet cultural revival is happening. Scholars, spiritual practitioners, and youth are revisiting the old ways, questioning whether everything that was condemned should have been. They are asking, can African people reclaim the harmony between body and spirit that their ancestors once embraced? Can we rediscover a sexuality that is empowered, not oppressed, sacred, not sinful? This is not just about sex. It's about identity, history, and healing. When African spirituality embraces sexuality, It teaches us that pleasure is not inherently corrupt, that the body is not the enemy of the soul, and that honoring desire can be a form of honoring life itself. At Afric Tribal, we believe that these conversations matter because understanding the past helps us reimagine the future. One where African traditions are no longer viewed through a lens of shame, but with the depth, beauty, and dignity they deserve. If you found this insightful, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Have you come across other spiritual beliefs in Africa that celebrate or ritualize sexuality? Let's talk in the comments. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep celebrating the rich cultural truths of Africa.